something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
What the is that, dude?
Howdy, folks. How are you? Put a bit of light on the subject, shall I? There you go. Sorry about last night. I did tell you that Thursday night might be a bit of a hit or miss kind of thing, so it was a miss, as it turned out. Hello to everybody who jumped in very early tonight. Aussie Sue, you were the first one in. And, of course, the first thing, aside from hello, Carl, you managed to put up is this one. It's very important, folks. Please, share if you can, and make a comment if you can. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. Whether it be on one of the Rumble platforms, whether you're watching through Cairns News or the Voice of Freedom Rumble site, or if you're watching on Project Matilda right now, whatever you're doing, comment, whether it's now during the live show or afterwards, if you're watching it after we've done the live show, because it helps with the algorithm. And I've got to tell you, I never really cared about any of the statistics or any of the back end of YouTube. I think we've made it pretty clear I wasn't in it for the money, and I'm not in it for the money. God knows there's no bloody money in it, certainly not at my end. So I've never really been too worried when they've taken me down or they've taken me off the air or all that sort of stuff. But we're in a position now, folks, where we need to start trying to raise a bit more money to get back out on the road. And we're going to businesses and talking to them, and they quite rightly want to know what sort of viewing numbers that we get. Now, because I don't have access to the back end of any YouTube channel anymore, there's really only one of them, I think. Well, there's a couple of them still up, but I can't actually put anything new on them. So Voice of Freedom is one of those. The Voice of Freedom is gone completely, and None 2K is there, and we are streaming to it, but I can't access the back end, and nor can I see any of the analytics, which are the numbers that the people who might advertise with us are very interested in seeing. So now, I guess I am, in retrospect, taking much more of an interest in that kind of thing, because it's difficult. Now, thankfully, have some very, very clever people who watch this show and who are involved in computers at all different stages, let's put it that way, and they've been able to help me extrapolate some figures, and they can be relied on, these figures, which has been a huge benefit. However, they're not all the figures by a long shot, and really the only way that I can prove that anybody watches is through you. So the more comments, the more likes. Subscribe if you can, if there is a button to subscribe. And I know we're trying to get you to go over to the Rumble channel, just because if you're watching on None 2K, it could go down at any time, any day. As soon as they wake up, it'll be that. It's an algorithm hasn't woken up to it yet, and that's the only thing that's saving us. So we will disappear totally from YouTube. I just don't know when. I will keep it going, obviously, as long as I can, but I have no control over that end of it. So we want you to go to the Rumble channel. Now, I've had some people say to me, oh, yeah, Rumble, you got to sign in. They want an email address. They want a name and all that sort of thing. Well, yes, they do. They're not charging you anything for that. Somebody said it's so they can get money off you. No, Rumble is a free service, but to be able to comment or to like or subscribe to a channel, you've got to sign in to Rumble to do that. YouTube is no different. No different. All right? They're not stealing anything from you, and I didn't get spammed from YouTube as far as I know, or Rumble for that matter. I get spammed from everybody else, but not necessarily them. So if you've just had that doubt in your mind about going over and putting an email address in and joining the chat in Rumble, for instance, like Sherry's there at the moment, Cookhouse One, and TV Hub, we all know who he is. Vince is over in the Rumble chat at the moment. In fact, if I know Vince, he'll be in this chat as well, because he has that many computers lying around. And Australians Regroup, hello. Nice to have you in the chat. Don't think there's too many, or nobody's popped their head up. There's apparently a few people watching on the Cairns news feed on Rumble at the moment, but also haven't commented. You might want to, but you won't be able to unless you've signed in. So if you haven't already created an account to do that with Rumble, then please do. I do have the screens up. I do try and monitor them. I have 3 different chat windows. One combines 4 channels, and the other 2. So there are 6 going out at the moment, and it's going out on Twitter as well. So I don't know if it goes out on Twitter because I never bother with it. But anyway, Michelle Bradley Smith was second in the house tonight, followed by Jack. Nice to have you in, mate. Tim followed in there, and then what did you say? You know the chat here is wonderful. Should be getting into Rumble. Love your thoughts, mate. Jack's got the right idea. Keep the numbers up on as many platforms as possible for as long as possible. Yep, if we can do that, that will certainly be a bit of a help, or a big help, I would say. Sharing it, telling your friends. If you gain some benefit out of this, and you think others might, then tell them about it. You know, if they want to come and join the Voice of Freedom, we would love to have them. We'd love you to come and be a member from as little as $1.25 a week. No, things are tough at the moment. So Vince gets right up me because because I don't push myself enough like this. Well, it's because I know it's tough. You know, I know because I'm doing it tough. Yes, okay, there is a big motorhome, but you may have noticed that it's only on the road while it's funded to be on the road. That's because there's just no way of keeping it on the road full time at the moment. We want to be able to do that, but can't. So we need a little bit more help. And that's why I've been trying very hard to get some more corporate support involved in the last couple of weeks, and have been stymied a little bit by the numbers drama that I've been telling you about. So if you can help us out by going to Rumble, liking, subscribing, getting an account, joining, if that's the thing that's holding you back, please don't be concerned about that. Travis Boyd, evening. All greetings from Bendigo. Beautiful part of the world. And no, I won't say that. But beautiful part of the world. I've got family in, well, my godfather is in Denali. Wonderful part of the world. He and his family there. And I spent some time there late last year. And I hope to spend a little bit more time there, maybe a little later this year. DCBs, you're a speedy reader, Carl. Yes, I am a speedy reader. I've been reading all my life. Well, maybe you're first new to the channel. So if that's the case, I'm a professional reader. Radio and TV, commercials, anything that has words, I've read it. Sometimes, multiple times over the last few years. Well, when I say few, I mean like 40. Yes, Murray River Explorer, Denali Gold, but they're not gold hunters. They're beekeepers, actually, apiarists. And my uncle is a bit over 90 now, and still out there every day, not doing as much as he used to. His son, Mark, is doing a pretty good job, but he's running the business these days. But yeah, my Uncle Ray, he's a bloody great man. I remember spending many fun days with him out around the hives, getting stung and getting carried on with. And to this day, the only honey I will eat is, well, if I can get it, is Uncle Ray's certain honey, yellow box honey. When I was down there and saw him last, he said he couldn't get any either. So that was a bit of a bummer. I wound up with nothing. But yeah, you can buy yellow box in the shops. I just don't trust it these days. Capilano have probably burnt me one too many times, I'm afraid. Who else is in the chat tonight? Peter, how are you, mate? Nice to have you in. And Shari, g'day. Camillo's in the house, which takes me back to something else I may as well get into right now. Here is the lovely Camillo. Look, his head on my shoulders. God, wouldn't that be a magnificent thing? Well, actually, his shoulders are probably as big as mine anyway. Division 10 in Nambour, coming up not this Saturday, but next Saturday for council elections in Queensland. So get a hold of Camillo if you are in Division 10 on the Sunshine Coast, and you will not get a better man to stand for you and the people of Division 10. Now, another friend is also standing, and she only let me know today. Thankfully, she did send me through a few things. So, Michelle Bailey, look at this. Standing for Division 6. Now, this is up Biggin Way in sort of central Queensland. Here's a bit of an outline of the things that Michelle is all about, and a little bit about who she is. And I can tell you, she's a hell of a market grower, veggies and all that sort of stuff. Bloody magnificent. And there she is out doing the waving thing, doing a magnificent job. So if you are in Division 6, up in Biggin, the NBRC Division 6, which is North Burnett, something the R stands for. Anyway, maybe North Burnett region, could be wrong. Division 6 for the council elections up around Biggin Way. Go and give Michelle a hand, and she's probably in the chat tonight. So, yeah, she is in the chat tonight. So sort me out, Michelle. We'll tell all the right things. Paul, what do you got here? We could all help Caleb moving our chat to Rumble. Well, yep, you can do that. There's a few in there too. Trounce is putting in his nationalstrikes.org. Oh, sorry, beg your pardon. I'll get it out eventually. Nationalstrikesaustralia.org. I gather that will be John's new site to host the petition, and you will be able to go back there. I haven't actually clicked on it and had a look. I better make sure it's not a porn site. He does get a bit excited in his old age. Says it can't be reached. So, all right, maybe it's not up yet. Nationalstrikesaustralia.org. So, yeah, it doesn't look like it's up yet, unfortunately, old mate. So, let me know when you think you might have that back up again, and I'll see if I can't share it a little bit. Okay, so, okay, that's pretty good. I've lost a whole heap off one screen. That's not useful. All right, let's see if this still works. Right. Single buttons do seem to work. There you go. Just scrolling down through the comments and having another bit of a look. I suppose I should put the other glasses on so I'm not tilting my head back a bit, hey? Bees at my place have skyrocketed in numbers. Mate, that's great news. Do you have your own hives? I have spoken on occasion to the people at Floby, Flow Hive, not Floby. Floby was no, you don't want to know what Floby was. Flow Hive, out of Byron Bay, company, must be going on 10 or 15 years old now, has had exponential growth in the last probably 10 years or so. Their hives are being sold all over Australia for about $1,000. You can get yourself this wonderful hive that is a wonderful bee house, if you like, to put in your backyard, and then you populate the house with a few thousand bees, a couple of tens of thousands of bees, and sit back and wait. Now, I know that Doris from my place, Vic West, has her own hives in her backyard and makes her own honey. I have tasted, in fact, I have some of the honey. It is magnificent. And when I say I'm fussy about my honey, her honey, magnificent. All from her backyard, well, and surrounding areas of where she lives. It's very, very healthy and amazingly good for you. Amazingly good for you. Have a burn, put honey on it. Just saying. Try and keep the animals away from licking it, because that'll really muck up the skin underneath. Just between you, me, and the gatepost. Yeah, local pure honey is the best. Yeah, generally from the area, if you can get it from the area where you live, it's got something to do with, you're all vibing off the same stuff at the same time. Whatever's in the air, that's where the honey, where the pollen was, is in you, so it's all a nice harmonious kind of mix, that kind of thing. It was explained to me once, not by Uncle Ray, funnily enough, but by somebody else. Peter, there's one I would love to be at. Next weekend, the Adelaide Motorsports Festival. Going to see the Le Mans Quad Rotor winner. Bloody hell. And your little your brother's RX-7 is on display. Knowing your penchant for RX-7s, my friend, it's probably not stock, I'm guessing. Zab. All right, Zab, what are you saying here? You like Rumble, but every live, it's just continual buffering. I don't know whether or not that is the case tonight. I lost that screen. Let me bring that back up and see if I can get it to show me. This should be a good indication because I'm sending out, like 3 streams. No, there you go. It's come right up. So I know that the stream on the Cairns News is running pretty well at the moment. Disco Dead Pigeon. Man, love that. All right. Let me copy that link address. Let me see if it works. And if that does work, there might have been an extra S in it from what I'm seeing. Yeah, there you go. So there you go. John Wilson's new site. That is... oh, no, that's taken me to an ABC site. Queensland man. Yeah, that's John's rather. Yeah, well, that's a link to a very old story about John, to which he was put on a huge and exorbitantly stupid good behaviour bond. And it looks like your link's been hijacked, Disco, just between you and the Goatpost. So I don't know what that is. John's off the bond now. I want to say that finished toward the end of last year at some stage. And he was not troubled by the constabulary at all during that time. So, no. I don't think he had too many problems with that, and that was just one of the tactics that was used at the time. So, a couple of folks are telling us that we should be updating Rumble if you're having trouble with it glitching. So there are a few folks on the Rumble channel saying if it's glitching, go and update it, your version of Rumble, and it should be all good. But at the moment, it does seem to be traveling all right. We've got another link. We'll see whether or not that one loads up. No, goes to the same place, which is an abc.net.au story. So something going wrong with your link there, guys. And if you're trying to make me talk about it, well, there's nothing to talk about. In fact, John could have. I didn't know John at this time, but he's told me the story many times. And I firmly believe if he had have wanted to, he could have appealed that case. I think there are concerns, and rightly concerns, certainly at that time, that appealing the case wouldn't have helped, even if he had a brilliant point of law, which he could have challenged it on, because quite simply there was no appetite in the court for truth or justice, just vengeance. And John suffered from that. He was handed I want to say it was a 2-year suspended sentence, or a 2-year good behaviour bond, maybe that's a better way of saying it. And he was to be on good behaviour, or he would go into the clink. So that's why John was not necessarily out there on the front lines for 2 years after this happened, because he wanted to remain free. He spent enough time in his life incarcerated. As a young man, he spent a lot of time in boys' homes, and he never wants to go back. And who could blame him? So no, I wouldn't go trying to use that thing. Neko, you're saying the link posted is just showing a blank white page. No, it's taking me to an ABC site and an ABC News story on him. So anyway, we'll move on from there. Rumble chat, though, is coming alive. That's all good. And it's pretty live in here. G'day, Sharon. I didn't see you poke your head in. Johnny Belch is in. G'day, mate. Ads is in. And J1, I did see you there, but I'm not sure I said g'day earlier. Vince. Vince is very good at making very succinct statements, not buffering. Not buffering where? I'm gathering on Rumble, but we're guessing. Really? Shug Knight in the Hives is saving bees? Why doesn't that surprise me? Now, I've got to go back through my emails. Somebody contacted me about Shug Knight, and the healing properties of it. In fact, offered to send me some to show me what it sort of was, or for me to meet up and see. So if you're watching, get in touch again. I've lost all that for a variety of reasons, but please get in touch again. I'd love to learn more about that. Magnificent sunrise today in the northwest pink and golden sky. Had a magnificent sunrise today in the northwest pink and golden sky. I know where you live. I'm pretty sure the sun comes up in the east. Aren't I? Just saying. Yes, I know what you're pointing out. Thank you. It's very cool. I thought it was very clever. All right. Looks like I've caught up with, if there were questions, I've missed them. I think I'm back down live now with the chat. But get Dusty. Is it true that Ainsley can buy crypto for you? Ainsley dealing crypto. Yes. So Paul and Michael and the team at Ainsley have gold, silver, and a crypto division. So I don't pretend to understand it or know a great deal about it, but I can tell you that Paul, especially, is right into the crypto side of the business, and I think is probably heading that end of it up at the moment. Ainsley put out a newsletter on a daily basis, which will help you with crypto. And if you want to go in and have a discussion with them, either in Melbourne or in the Brisbane office, you can call them at any time on their 1-800 number. But if you want to call in and have a look, then by all means, do so. They'll answer any questions that you have. And I've seen them running some advertising on Facebook in the last couple of days, which is telling you that if you want to, maybe you've never handled a kilo of silver or a kilo of gold. If you'd like to, you can go into Ainsley's with no obligation to buy it. They'll let you hang on to it. They'll let you have a look at it, a feel of it, a taste of it. Wow, don't bite it. It's not good for your teeth. But I think that's a great opportunity if you've always wondered what the whole process would be like. I would suggest you take, $25 you could spend and buy one of those half-ounce Ainsley Tree of Life coins, silver, and bloody good investment at the moment. As we can see, the spot price for silver is on the way up. The spot price for gold has been on the way up too. We're up at nearly $37 for silver and $3,263 for gold. It has been going up steadily, not raging up the charts, but going up steadily for the last few days. In fact, probably the last week or so. No huge jumps. There have been a few little, drops back, but within 12, 24 hours, it picks back up again. Now, we were having a conversation a couple of weeks ago now about how Bitcoin might affect gold, and it seems to be affecting it in quite a positive way at the moment. The Ainsley bullion analysis, daily analysis that comes out is really, really insightful into what's happening across the market and the influences on the gold or precious metals market, let's say. So if you're wanting to learn more, get involved with them. Just get that in, go onto the website, ainsleyBullion.com. I'm showing it there. If you send them an email, you can subscribe to their newsletter. And if you go in, like I say, you can pick yourself up. If you've only got $25, buy a half-ounce Ainsley Tree of Life coin. If you've got $40, buy yourself an ounce coin. If you've got a bit more, buy yourself a bit more, because it's only going up. And I've got a sneaking suspicion it's only going to go up a lot more. And I know a lot of you have been taking advantage of it recently. I don't know, I happen to be bumping into a heap of folks in the last 2 weeks who've been pumping into Ainsley and converting, whether it be a self-managed super fund or just converting some of their savings or all of their savings. In one gentleman's case, he had a substantial amount of money that he had put aside outside of super, he said, and he's gone and converted that. So he didn't need a forklift to take it away, but he must be a very fit man for his age. That's what I'll say, because I got a pretty good idea of how much he bought. So yeah. A lot of interesting new coins coming out on the market too, particularly in the collector style of things. Peter Grace in the chat is the man to talk to about that sort of stuff. He has a voluminous amount of knowledge on collectible coins. Ainsley do deal in collectible coins, not the range of every coin or every collectible that's minted, but they do deal in the what I consider the best ones, particularly the new Chinese New Year 1 ounce and half ounce, for that matter, gold and silver coins. There is also a color gold coin, gold ounce coin, that's available where the dragon that's embossed into it or carved into it is colored, and it is just magnificent. So those coins certainly appreciate in value, and they are of a limited release in most cases, so you can maybe make a little bit of money on that if you know what you're doing. Let's get into a few interesting bits and pieces. Canberra yesterday. I'm not completely sure who was in town, but clearly Australia was very pleased to see them, which is just a tad disappointing. What is encouraging for people in America at the moment is, and particularly for those who sit on our side of the fence in New York, former Governor Andrew Cuomo has been summoned before the House of Representatives of Congress, and particularly the Accountability and Oversight Committee. Now, he's going to be asked to justify his actions during COVID and his actions in regard to the lockdowns that he applied to nursing homes, the regulations that applied to nursing homes that saw thousands and thousands and thousands of people die with their families not being able to have access to them, and a whole heap of other things. There was aid that was offered and brought in and ignored by Cuomo. In fact, Cuomo fought Trump at every turn through the lead up to the whole spicy cough saga, and then all the way through it, and continues to do so. So it will be interesting to see. The Oversight Committee is, been busy recently. It had Hunter Biden in, it's had Fauci back in, and I believe Bill Gates might be called before it in the not too distant future. Could that have anything to do with this? Now, this comes from the Covert Vaccine Technology Threat Group. Now, they want to report an urgent, potential threat. Their legal team has uncovered a potential next level threat. A new class of encrypted RNA vaccine is being developed. These vaccines can piggyback onto existing wild viruses and spread from person to person without their knowledge or consent. At first glance, this may sound like something out of a science fiction novel. However, I can assure you it's very real and demands immediate attention and action. Even more concerning is that supporters of this potentially terrifying technology aim to enable vaccine delivery even to those who choose not to be vaccinated. This means that everyone could be vaccinated against their will, regardless of their personal beliefs or choices. There is a school of thought that says that's what's coming from the skies as well. I was having a conversation today with the lovely Corinne Dwyer, wife and amazing support to the equally amazing Tim Dwyer. We were talking about the weather, one of those boring conversations, but we were talking about the weather. They live in South Australia where it's a much drier heat, and 38 degrees there today. It was a bit of an overcast, cloudy day, had a bit of rain this morning here. Not too hot, not too sweaty at all in Brisbane today. That'll change. But we were talking about the quality of the sun when you go outside in the direct sunlight. And these days, I know I've felt it, practically everywhere in the sun that I've travelled. And I put it down to, I've been out in the heat a lot. I've been in the sun a lot in my life. Maybe this is what happens as you get older. But these days, particularly my right arm, but it happens on my left arm as well. That's usually the only skin I have exposed. My legs don't cop it, but my arms particularly feel like they're burning. It's not, oh God, put me out, I'm on fire kind of burning. It feels like a slow sizzle, an uncomfortable heat in my arm. That seems to activate. Now, I never had that as a kid. And in fact, I never had it up until a few years ago. I put it down to maybe so many years driving limos and arm out the window kind of thing, driver's arm. But it happens on my left arm as well. And a little bit weird. The top of your head, if you're not wearing a hat, the heat, the sun just feels so much hotter. Could that be because of what they're putting into the skies to help fix the climate? There is no point in denying that. That is absolutely 100% happening. It is definitely 100% happening. I did mention there was a house for sale that supposedly had a cloud seeding machine on it at, what was it, Cobocan or somewhere like that in New South Wales. That was a well photoshopped, well, not even a well photoshopped picture, and a complete bullshit story. I think I sort of figured that out, or you guys figured that out with me while we were going over Google Earth. But I've since had it relayed to me that that it's actually pretty low in the whole scheme of things. It's in a valley, wouldn't happen, would have no useful effect, a cloud seeding machine in that area. But they definitely are up in the snowy mountains. There are properties and probably government areas along the Snowies and along Mount Kosciuszko, I would just about bet, where these cloud seeding machines do operate from. And if you've ever wondered what one of them looks like, at least some years ago, Jeremy Clarkson has a wonderful show on YouTube, you can see. I think if you just go to YouTube and type in Jeremy Clarkson cloud seeding machine or fogging machine, you will see exactly what these machines do and why they have to be up so high, particularly if they're going to be warmed by beams coming out of Black Mountain Tower in Canberra, which is certainly where we believe things are happening. Speaking of things happening, this happened just before the State of the Union speech. Lots of fences, lots of barricades all the way around the capital. That was supposedly to keep the massive crowds at bay who might want to get, into the capital again because of the insurrection threat. Do you think? Certainly looked to me like it was set up a bit like it was a few years ago, where nobody on the outside was really interested in going in, and all the barbed wire on the top of the fences was on the inside, stopping the people on the inside from getting out. not too much of that reported in mainstream media. Yes, well, anyway, the State of the Union speech today, well, it was a very, 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 very angry speech. It's being called by many the angriest rant ever in presidential State of the Union speech history. But the Democrats are saying, well, he didn't muck up. He didn't go off script. He didn't forget his lines.
I have a lot of questions. I better not start the questions. I'll get in trouble.
What's your message for Super Tuesday voters?
Everyone, please move this way.
Super Tuesday, say, do you have a message for voters?
Thanks, come on. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
That's Joe Biden. It's sad to see anyone be that vulnerable. Scared, could I say? Look into those eyes. Childlike. Wasn't the same bloke who stood up there in the Capitol building today and ranted. Didn't mention Trump by name, mentioned him as my predecessor, but started out with that rant, and not once in the entire State of the Union speech did he reflect at all on what was happening to Americans at home, what was happening with the cost of living, what's going on with the multiple millions of illegals crossing what seems to be a border that isn't a border anymore, and doing so with the blessing of the Bidens. What's going on with over 320,000 illegal immigrants flown out of Mexico and into American cities? They didn't even have to cross the border through the river at the Rio Grande. They were put on a plane and flown to 47 different American cities and let go. No details, where they came from, what they do, Well, Donald Trump had something to say after the State of the Union speech today.
Joe Biden is on the run from his record and lying like crazy to try and escape accountability for the horrific devastation he and his party have created. All the while, they continue the very policies that are causing this horror show to go. We cannot take it any longer as a country. Joe Biden's sad excuse for a State of the Union address aside, here are the facts. When I left office, we gave Joe Biden the most secure border in U.S. history. We gave him remain in Mexico, very tough to get, but I got it. Safe third agreements, the asylum ban, Title 42, 571 miles of border wall, rapid deportations, and much more. We had the safest border in the history of our country. As soon as he got in, Crooked Joe and his radical left lunatics deliberately dismantled each and every one of those policies that were so good, that gave us this best border. According to Tom Homan, according to Brandon Judd, the top people, they said it was the single best border we've ever had in recorded history. What's happened now is a horror show. The country, our country, is being laughed at all over the world. Over the past 3 years, Biden has actively aided and abetted the importation of millions and millions of illegal alien migrants and resettled them into your communities. At any time during the past 3 years, Crooked Joe Biden, and he is crooked as you can be and the most incompetent president we've ever had, could have called off the invasion. But to this day, he is keeping the hordes of illegal migrants and illegal aliens pouring into the country. By the time his term is up, we could have close to 20 million people in our country. And we have no idea from where they come. We have no idea who they are. They have no identification. Many come from mental institutions. Many come from prisons. They're terrorists. We have a calamity the likes of which we've never seen before. The very first bill Joe Biden sent to Congress was a plan to turn illegal aliens into voting citizens. That's just what we need. No matter what Crooked Joe says, his actions prove his priority is to import a colossal new illegal alien population and let them all stay. My priority is securing our border and sending Crooked Joe's illegals back home. Likewise, the sight of a feeble Joe Biden talking about shrinkflation, the term he uses, is one of the most ridiculous things this country has ever seen. Shrinkflation is just another way of saying inflation. It means that you're losing a lot of money because these people don't know what they're doing. It was all caused by Crooked Joe Biden and the people that surround him, and they are radical left, Marxists and fascists and communists and socialists. We have people running our country, the likes of which we have never seen before. He and the communists and his party looted trillions of dollars from you and spent it on illegal aliens and the Green New Scam, triggering the highest inflation in many, many decades. If your packages are getting smaller, that's the reason why, under my leadership, there was no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. It's time to tell Crooked Joe Biden, you're fired.
I don't think there's going to be too many people disagreeing with that. He definitely needs to be fired. Just having a bit of a look over in the Rumble chat, and Aussie Pow, crypto is fairy dust. If you believe it, good, but don't expect to hold it. I got told the same thing, actually. Not that it's fairy dust, but crypto is not something you necessarily hang on to forever. It's and apparently, particularly with Bitcoin at the moment, it's about to halve. It'll do that in April, I want to say. So that's why there is this great flourish at the moment with Bitcoin. Pardon me. It will go up, and somebody that I respect in this space told me they expect Bitcoin to go up to $250,000 or more within the next 12 months. So if you've got it and you don't have to spend it, maybe hang on to it at the moment. We were telling everybody only months ago to get out of it, because it's a bad coin. It's the child, pedo coin, all that kind of crap. Now, there seems to be a level of legitimacy that has gone into it. And from what I've been told, Bitcoin has met all the obligations to go over into or out of the fiat system and into the new quantum financial system. While the big investment firms, particularly BlackRock and Vanguard, have invested heavily, and institutional investors have invested heavily in Bitcoin, and that's why the price has gone to where it's gone. Those institutions are controlled now, and so there's some very interesting things at play with all of that, which I probably shouldn't say too much more on. But I think if you've got Bitcoin and let's just say some kind of digital currency comes into being, then it'll have to get out of Bitcoin and go into something else. But there will be a way that you will be able to get every cent of your Bitcoin worth into that, whatever that new property will be, and not lose it. So if you have Bitcoin and you think, oh, well, if this all happens, I'm going to lose it, you won't. You'll be given a certain amount of time, from what I understand, to get it out or move it, shift it from Bitcoin into whatever the new Bitcoin will be. But it'll be Bitcoin, just a new version of Bitcoin, from what I understand. Look, Paul, if I had a Bitcoin, even if I had a bit of a Bitcoin, that's exactly what I'd be doing. Because even a bit of a Bitcoin would be enough to afford a good bit of gold at the moment. Somebody told me the other day they had a 15th of a whisker of a Bitcoin and it was worth $14,000. Okay. I kick myself and I'm not sure that she ever watches this show, but Tanya, you know who you are. I kick myself for looking at you like you were insane 20 plus years ago when you said, oh, there's this new thing called Bitcoin, and, I've just bought you $10 worth at 0.00000000 of a wingnut each. And I took a huge amount of interest in that, thanked her very much, and thought that'd be wonderful. And took absolutely no interest in it at all. At all. Luckily, she did. But then we'd split up by the time it became worth a lot more than a 15th of a Whisker's nut. So, the stupid things we do when we're young. And God, didn't I do a lot of them. But anyway, we'll try and do better. I reckon you'd be able to find one or two that would, mate, just between you, me, and the gatepost. Not that I have any idea of how payment system works in brothels. Just point out. We won't get into that. What's happening with Elbow Crunch? Yes. Okay. The constriction that you're talking about will be the either the financial constriction. I can't remember what we might have been talking about when that was pasted. Yes, I think we're going to see Albo in the next little while make all sorts of decisions, or the government will make all sorts of decisions that will be constricting of the people. There is an email floating around at the moment that has supposedly got a lot of support, asking people to get to their nearest main highway on a certain date and block it, bring the country to a halt. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what you're driving. Come for a good time, come for a long time. Bring the camper, bring the caravan, bring the tent, bring food, bring water. And from what I'm led to believe, there will be resupplies on the way through. I have some concerns about showing you that letter, that statement. So that's why last week I didn't, the last couple of days, I haven't sent it to Vince and asked him to post it. And we discussed it today, and Vince hadn't seen the letter, and he was reading through it. And I was waiting to see what his thoughts were on it. And thankfully, he came up with pretty much exactly the same reason I came up with, not to post it. That doesn't mean that we don't think it doesn't have merit, but the way that the thing is worded is problematic. I'll say that. That's all I'll say about it. However, the intent behind it could certainly make an impact, but it requires commitment, a lot of commitment. Now, if you're getting that email, you'll know what sort of commitment it takes. Will it get going? Well, I think yes. I think there's every chance. Now, back in 1979, there was a truckers' strike here in Australia. There were new taxes being thrown on the truckies. Road taxes, freight charges were very, very, very small. The truck drivers were having to drive stupid hours to make any money any week to keep their trucks, to keep their family going. It was dangerous. Logbooks weren't a thing back in 1979, and it was the truck driving union itself, the TWU, that initially started all this stoppage. However, from what I understand, the negotiations through the TWU broke down, and then it was left to the group of truckers that were just over it. The TWU walked away from the New South Wales government at the time, but there were a group of 200-odd truckers at the Mount Razorback area on the Hume, stopped everything. And from there, that protest grew across the country. There were hundreds and hundreds of trucks stopped at hundreds and hundreds of towns and cities around Australia. They blocked the ports, so nothing got out of the ports, nothing got anywhere. And it was a long strike. I remember it, lasting some time. Now, when they blocked these roads, one of the concerns that was raised to me about if we were to do this, what happens if, somebody needs to get to a doctor or a hospital or an ambulance needs to get through? Well, I think the letter makes it clear that emergency ambulances will be allowed through, but not police. I think the trucks had something similar. They allowed the cars through, so cars weren't stopped at all. But if you were a truck that tried to go through one of these stoppage sites, then blockaded sites, then you had your number taken down, and I have no doubt you didn't stay in the trucking industry for too much longer. You were known as a scab, and they were very rough days back then. Not the idea to go and run those blockades. So we don't encourage violence in any way, shape, or form. What we do encourage is action and commitment. If this is a commitment you can make, then maybe it's a good thing. But you have to be prepared to stay. Not for a day, not for 2 days, not for a week, but until it's done. Until it's done. So I don't know who wrote this. Well, actually, that's a lie. I won't lie to you. I now know a lot more about this document. I don't know who wrote it per se, but I do know whose machine it was typed on and whose fingerprint is on the document, so to speak. From that perspective, from there we can extrapolate a few other things about who might have written it, but it would be guessing. So that's why I'm not pointing out names or anything like that. But we've looked into the document. Commitment. This country will not be saved unless the majority or a significant proportion of us are prepared to commit. So this document claims to stop everything. I don't think that can be done. There will be exceptions. There will be compassionate grounds. There will be all sorts of things where you will have to let people through. That may or may not be a great idea at certain places, certainly at certain times. But if you don't let people through, you're only going to alienate the people you're trying to bring and help. Now, there will be a certain amount of people, if you were to conduct an action like this, that will not understand it and will hate you and vilify you and carry on, call for your hanging, all because you made them unable to go and play golf or go shopping that day or that week. But it will make them take notice of the arguments we're putting forward. And it seems to me that the only demand that letter makes is the removal of the government. It doesn't stipulate what comes after that, just the fact that there'll be some kind of a meeting in Canberra House. Now, Canberra House is in Canberra, funnily enough. It's right across from the law courts, and got some very interesting occupants in Canberra House. Very interesting. I'm wondering why the meeting might be held there, especially as at this point it doesn't seem to have, hireable meeting rooms that I can find. So, a few interesting things going on around that letter. However, can't walk away from the idea it has merit. What it lacks is commitment and some way to back us up. Sorry, Crunch, what was that? Oh, maybe. Yes, that would be a demonstration to the military that the people are quite serious about what's going on. But once again, commitment. You're not going to be able to teach everybody what they need to know in a week. God, you won't have stopped screaming at them for the first week. They won't have stopped screaming at you. The second week, you might be able to talk calmly. The third week, maybe talk some sense into them. The fourth week, they'll come back with all sorts of arguments against the sense that was talked into them, and they'll go back into their happy little world, ignoring what's going on. And I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that, with a bit more relentless pounding of actual information, real stuff. I don't think the farce of a Governor-General would have a choice after a month. I think he'd have to sack the government. It would be quite clear the country is falling apart and isn't going to get started again as long as the people stop the roads and the rail. That'll be the other thing, because cargo can travel by rail. So the truckie strike in 1979 thought of that, and the ships. They thought of that too. I wonder if the people behind this little idea have actually studied history at all, have actually studied what was done in 1979. I would encourage them to do so if they haven't already. But, who knows? Weirder, and weirder. All right, I don't think I've got too much more for you tonight, folks. I think I've just about drained myself of the stuff I had to tell you. Do you feed your kids Skittles?
These are Skittles, one of hundreds of food products that contain titanium dioxide. So why single these out? Well, it turns out that a California man has filed a lawsuit saying that they are unfit for human consumption because of the titanium dioxide used to make them. This is titanium dioxide used in food to whiten or enhance its color.
Look at some gum. You see that it's bright white, and so it's used to have that bright appearance. It also is used to make colors pop.
It's also used in sunscreens because of its reflective property. Recently, a California man filed this class action lawsuit against Mars Candy, the makers of Skittles, claiming the use of titanium dioxide makes them unfit for human consumption. Mars says, while we do not comment on pending litigation, our use of titanium dioxide complies with FDA regulations. Recently, a European study using mega doses of the substance came to the conclusion it should be banned.
The European Union had declared some concerns about how this might affect genes. So they've done an extensive set of analysis, and they've looked at how this may be an issue with human health. It didn't seem to have really many effects, except for a potential concern related to what they call genotoxicity, or effects on DNA. So that was really their concern, and that's the reason that the European Union decided to eliminate this in foods, trying to be cautious.
Yeah. So luckily, not anything I'd eat. Haven't eaten. Did try them. Laura used to eat them when she was a little girl. I don't think she's had too many in the last, few years, at any rate. And happy birthday to my little girl today. It's her birthday today. So she's not here, unfortunately. She's having a great time with her new niece, though. So she's off enjoying herself, and I hope she's having a bloody great time. Just wrap up the chats in Rumble for a moment. DCBs, yeah, the governor would have to sacrifice himself to do that, but he's not really much of a bloody governor, is he? And if he's not going to sacrifice himself, then, what's the upshot of that? What comes after that? The governor is unfit to govern, and yeah, and neither is their Bitcoin going to save them. I think you're 100% right on that too. Chris, thanks, mate. Best wishes to you guys too. titanium oxide is just one of the poisons. I don't think there is anything we are eating or drinking that isn't touched in some way with a harmful something for us. It's how they can spread the disease, spread the illness, spread the dysfunctionality across such a wide populace and cultures, and not have it seen, not have it recognized for what it is, because it all looks so different wherever your perspective is from. I probably haven't explained that very well. I might have a think about that over the weekend and try and explain that a little better, because perspective is a lot. And if we've got the wrong perspective, or we are all viewing things from a different perspective, then sometimes we can come up with different answers. And sometimes those answers create more conflict than they solve issues. So perspective, I'm talking in riddles here at the moment. I don't want to. I should just shut up. I will shut up. There's something coming about perspective. How about that? If you're going out over the weekend, folks, have a bloody good weekend. Be safe on the roads, whatever you're doing, wherever you're driving. There are plenty of those dickheads out there, and all you've got to do is steer clear of them. Keep your eyes wide open, and I'll talk to you maybe over the weekend, but quite probably Monday. Have a good one.
One ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!